I was thinking about this the other day. Are you familiar with the Big Dog brand of clothing? Not to be confused with my dog, whose name is Big Dog.
No, I know that.
Okay, so for people that don't, they brand themselves as athletic wear. I don't really think that's what it is. It's basically a bunch of graphic tees, so to speak. And it's called Big Dog Sportswear. The logo is a St. Bernard. You've probably seen it. And lately, some of their shirt designs are going around on Twitter, on the internet, because they're weird. And vaguely like Toby Keith-esque conservative, like assholey. Anyway, that was like, I don't know why, but that was my favorite store growing up. And I would always go, there was a Big Dog store on the way to the beach. And I'd go and I'd get 2 shirts every time. Because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I don't know why, but it just reminded me of like the weird shit that I would wear to school growing up. Like these shirts said something like, and these are more tame ones. If you can't run with the big dogs, stay on the porch. And then there was one that was 10 rules of being a big dog. I don't know. I can't even remember a single one of them. But I'm sitting here thinking, why did I feel the need to advertise that on my back at school? I don't know. I'm sure you've had similar experiences with shirts. I know we've talked about 18 Husky pants, but we never really talked about the top half article of clothing that we wore when we were younger.
My mom used to buy those shirts from yard sales for like 50 cents, and she used to think that they were the funniest thing. Like, she would bring them home, all, like, just to herself, like dying laughing at these shirts and being like, "You gotta see what you're gonna wear to school on Monday."
You're gonna see what's gonna make all the kids think you're the funniest kid in school.
So like, I can still remember. A little bit about like, I know my mom's listening to this too, so she's probably gonna call me and be mad because she listens to every episode. But she has like this weird thing about buying herself clothes that are too big, but also buying me clothes that are too big. Like when I was a kid, so like I was a big kid, obviously, but I wasn't like a 3X big kid, at 9 years old. But here I am, like walking around Martin Elementary wearing a shirt that says triple XL on it, and I don't think it actually meant the shirt size. and getting asked now, looking back as a 28-year-old, I'm thinking I now understand why teachers were like, "Is everything okay at home?" Because my shirts probably said, like, I can remember there was one shirt, it had the Big Dog logo. It said "Big Dogs Eat," and then on the back it said it said
just on the front it said "Big Dogs Eat."
Big Dogs Eats, or big Dogs Eat, and then it said big treats on the back. And
it's so stupid to have that on the front, because then people are like, "Yeah, they eat. Of course they eat." It's just like stating a fact, like cars drive on roads.
Yeah, I mean, and so like my shirts were like always big. I still have that issue. I still wear shirts that are too big for me. But like, yeah, like I used to have those shirts all the time. And what was the other one that I had that was a Big Dog one? I can't remember the exact one, but I can still like picture it, and it being like something that was over my head at the time. But my brother liked to do this thing where he would let me wear some of his clothes. Like back in the day, like I used to wear like Jinko jeans because I thought it was cool,
hell yeah.
But they were way too big
Love
for
Jinko.
me. He, at the time he was like a foot taller than me, so they were all too big.
Well, they're also just big as fuck to begin with.
He used to like to give me his shirts that were like inappropriate to wear. So like I'm walking around like not realizing that the shirts are like really actually saying really terrible things or like sexual things or whatever. And the whole time I'm like, I'm the cool kid because everybody's coming up and like talking to me and stuff. But in actuality, they just thought my shirt was cool.
What did the back say? The big treats?
Okay, so if I remember correctly, it said big dogs eat, and it said big treats.
I don't know why it's so fun. It's just like, what? Why would you feel the need to like state that on a shirt.
Oh, I remember the shirt now. I remember it. So not that shirt. I'm talking about the other shirt that I couldn't think of. And it said it had the dog and it said big dog, big meat.
Big meat?
Yeah, big meat.
Oh my god. Well, I was looking up somewhere. Jesus Christ. I was looking up some while you're talking. Really, I think what they represent is like old people, like old people who share Facebook meme humor. This one says, "I don't need Google. My wife knows everything."
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a American classic, and then there's one of a dog with a pair of what looks to be Wayfarers, and it says, "I'm having a great day. Don't screw it up." Like, that's pretty aggressive. One of my favorite ones is Big Dog's alternative fact: I've only had one beer.
I like some of these are so fucking stupid. Okay.
If at first you don't succeed, then maybe you just suck. Big Dogs.
The big dog is always right, and I'm the big dog.
Yes. So I don't know why I felt like this was the shirt for me. Maybe it was something where I was suppressing my like an inferiority complex when I was young, which is entirely possible. But I was looking back at some of the stuff I wore, and I was like, man, that's stupid. Anyway, so what was your brand of choice?
Okay, so my brother wore a lot of Echo, so I started wearing a lot of Echo because I thought it was really cool. But I also had this brand that I think only Gabe sold it, and I think I've told this story, but it said Brick City across the chest, which was hilarious because I had this superstition that if I wore it on basketball days, I wouldn't make a shot. I would only throw up bricks. So like my mom would like give it to me on school days like that I had a basketball game, and I would leave it in the car on purpose. And it never helped. Like I still went like 20 for 40. I mean, I scored a lot of points, but I sucked. And so I just wouldn't touch it on game days after that. Any of their clothes, wouldn't touch it. But I wore a lot of that, and in junior high, funny enough, I could still remember Aeropostale was a huge thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I was obsessed with
dude,
getting those shirts.
I loved being a billboard. I loved it because like Aeropostale, American Eagle, Nike, just do it. Like all those things across my chest, like I was like the man. At least I thought. And now looking back, I'm like, man, I overpaid for a $5 shirt.
There was always this obsession to have like name brand stuff, which was dumb because it was all so expensive and I couldn't afford it either. But I was obsessed with like getting an American Eagle graphic tee, and I was so proud of myself when I saved up enough money to get my first one. And it just feels so stupid because it was like the dumbest shit on the back, like kind of like a Big Dog shirt. This one was an orange one. It said American Eagle on the front. It said Bubba's Chicken and Waffles on the back.
Yeah, I remember that. And then they would have like, there was an American Eagle shirt that also had like, what is it? What's that? Bubba Gump. They had a Bubba Gump shirt at one point. They had teamed up with him, Bubba Gump on the back, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I don't know why I didn't get one because American Eagle. I didn't get a lot of their shirts because a lot of their shirts didn't come in like 2X at the time. A lot of it like stopped at extra large, and then Hollister would just blatantly tell you that they didn't want big people wearing their clothes. So like I never wore Hollister, but Aeropostale,
yeah, man, Abercrombie.
Yeah, Aeropostale. They were busting out shirts, but we couldn't afford them. So my mom would do two things. Either one, she would wait until something showed up, either at like the Salvation Army or at yard sales, and then she'd buy them, or Aeropostale, like every year before school, would do their $9 shirts. So I was allowed to go that day and buy $9 shirts. That was it.
Shit.
That was when I got to go.
It's a big day.
Yeah, but the shirts, okay, the funny thing about it though is the shirts are not good quality. They're cheaply made. They're worth about $5 and you're spending, anywhere from 20 to, I mean, some of them were outrageous, like $30.
Abercrombie was like $30 or $35 just for a fucking graphic tee. It was
But
ridiculous.
I think
Well, speaking of Abercrombie, I remember this is my second reference for my West Virginia history class of the night. So they had a shirt that raised some pretty big uproar in the state of West Virginia back in, well, I was in 8th grade, so that would have been, like 03 maybe? 03-ish? Yeah, let's say 03. That sounds right. Because there was a shirt, it was Outline of West Virginia, and it said, "It's all relative." In West Virginia, it's an incest joke, John. And I remember my West Virginia history teacher was like so appalled by it, which, rightly so, but it's like, I mean, do you want to spend your energy on it? Maybe. I don't know. But that's also the time where like we were all rebellious, like, oh, bro, let's get the shirt. And she was like, if you wear this shirt, you're getting suspended, basically. I don't know if that was the actual threat, but that was the implication.
I love it.
And one kid, Lawrence, I won't say his last name. I don't know what he's doing now. Don't want to put him on blast. Lawrence got the shirt. He was so fucking proud and so excited. He wore it into class that he got kicked out of class. I 100% got kicked out of class.
Good.
I think they also had one that was like no lifeguard at the gene pool, which was like, it was kind of funny, clever, but shitty at the same time.
So you're saying that really that teacher ended up being one of the reasons this podcast was created.
I mean,
that teacher
yes,
was fighting
yes.
against stereotypes before you even knew that you'd have a microphone.
Goddamn, you know what? You have a great point, Miss St. Clair.
Shout out
to you,
Miss St. Clair. I don't know you, but I'm
St.
sure
Clair.
you're great. I'm sure
St.
you're
Clair.
great.
She was a great teacher. She's really good, very passionate.
Okay, but they're a bad company. That's what it seems like, right? Like, I don't know if
it's definitely a mixed bag.
But you know who's not a bad company? Starry Eyes Media.
There you go. What a transition. Starry Eyes Media. They are not going to make weird sex jokes and put them on the back of your shirt. They're actually going to make you a pretty nice website.
Yeah, they're going to make you a kick-ass website. Look, the stuff that they told me that they could do, Chuck, is insane. They can literally take a menu, like if you're a restaurant, take a menu and show like where people tend to look and stuff. I don't know how they do it. They're smarter than me. They can set it up to where it's like, customer base, right? Like they can get customers to, I don't know. It's beyond me. They are marketing. I won't say geniuses because that might be playing them up. I don't know. Are they marketing geniuses? But I think they're marketing specialists who are really good at their jobs.
Get them to do some work for you, and then you can decide if they're geniuses. Maybe.
Yeah, let us know. Maybe they are. But anyway, they do branding. They help you with marketing. They create websites. They can make menus. They do print media. They do it all. Check them out.
Did our website.
They are great.
It's pretty dope. And
check out our
SEO on
website.
It's great. Yeah, they're a good company. A local, actually, local is kind of relative in Appalachia. They're an Appalachian company based out of Southern West Virginia. Locally run. Great people, great stuff. Check it out. If you have a website need, you have a marketing need, they're your people. And boom, find it in the show notes, starriesmedia.com. Support Appalachian businesses. Not much for announcements today. We do have one new patron, John. Name him off for us, please.
We added Destiny. We've reached our destiny when it comes to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Destiny, thank you so much for joining, and thank you to everybody who's remained with us. I think we're now at like, as this recording, we're like 120, which is like mind-blowing. We continue to grow. We're so thankful for that. And it's allowed us to do a lot of really cool things and to have a lot of really cool things coming up.
Yeah, and these microphones, which are very nice. Thank you all so much for those. And
we hope it's helping.
I hope so. I've been trying to get good at editing, so yeah, thank you for that. New exclusive coming out this week, and then also we're adding. We're finishing our Flatwoods Monster encrypted bonus series for $10 and above Patreon members. So if you are that, thank you. And if you're not, get there. Join patreon.com/Appalachia. Excuse me. But with that being said, John, let's get on the main topic. This is an interesting one. And I think we got some really good input on the social medias about this. Appalachian mission trips. This is, I don't know. It's not necessarily unique to Appalachia, but I do think that it's frequently a place where people outside of the region will, either with a church group or something different, do a quote-unquote mission trip to Appalachia, usually to a more impoverished part, more rural, where people are in need of help with like home repairs. A lot of times it'll be like after a natural disaster or something, to kind of help people out in the community. And some of those organizations do proselytizing, some don't. But it's an interesting issue that we wanted to talk about because I think there's a diverging bit of opinion on it and how people feel about it. And it's just kind of an interesting topic. So I'm kind of I'm interested in your initial take on the issue. Now, you and I are from Parkersburg. I don't know that there was that much of these Appalachian mission trip expeditions there, I don't think, but definitely in southern West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get into the kind of the meat of it, but in terms of just the mission trips by themselves, like on their face, I did a little bit of research on the mission trips, because that's the thing, the mission trips overseas are different than the mission trips to Appalachia, like that are in the United States. They are different, and that to me was a kind of like a key indicator of maybe some good things, some bad things. But on their face, they should be this like, really nice thing of coming into a region and helping them, become maybe economically diverse or, something being built, whatever. But to me, I am on the negative side of this. I don't like Appalachian mission trips. I don't think that they're helpful. I think there's a lot of better things that could be happening. But just, I guess my overall broad answer is I'm not a fan.
Not a fan, says John. So to start, I think it's important to make some distinctions, I guess I would say. So there are some mission trips that are more, shall we say, I don't want to say mission driven. That's not helpful. There are some that are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not proselytizing, but more of like helping. God, what is the word? What's a word for that I could say?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, like some are like proselytizing. Others are like, we're coming to help build houses.
Yeah, I'm not sure what word it would be though.
Okay, well, whatever. I'll just say. So there's some. A lot of times they're through a church. Not all the time. A lot of times they're through a church or through some religious affiliation. Some of them are proselytizing, like they want to come, they want to preach the gospel, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot that are more focused on service-oriented. That's the word I was looking for. Service-oriented, service projects, I should say. Things like helping build houses or rebuild houses, or building like an irrigation system to help prevent flooding in a community, something like that, something that involves like your hands and picking up a hammer and nail. So I want to be clear about that because the term mission trip usually, and rightly so, has a religious connotation to it of like proselytizing, bringing the gospel, that is your mission from God type thing. But it is important to know that is not always the case for something like this, and overseas as well. I'll explain that in a story here in a minute. But I did want to point that out because a lot of the commentary we saw on social media was, I think, viewing it from a frame of reference that was like religious proselytizing. And by proselytizing, I mean trying to spread the gospel, trying to convert people, trying to make it a religious mission and impart religious principles onto people in a foreign part of where you're not from. So important to make that distinction. Now, some of it is, I will say that, but I'm with you partially. So I kind of come down on a interesting footing on this. I don't like the ones that are proselytizing at all. I don't think that that's appropriate. It's just not my thing. I understand why people in religious backgrounds want to do it, but I don't like it, and I don't think it's helpful. And I think that when it comes to I'm going to speak generally about this. We can get into it in more detail later, but when it comes to like service-oriented things, I think it really depends, because I'm not gonna tell a local part of like Eastern Kentucky or Southern West Virginia who the local community wants people to come in and help them like build something or repair something or help their community out. I'm not going to tell them that that's wrong. I think it should be their decision. If it's something that's coordinated locally that people want, then I don't see the harm in that if they get what they want. If the mission group comes down and says they're going to build houses, and then they come and they build houses, and the community wanted them to come build houses, who am I to say that that's wrong? To me, I don't care. I think that that's fine. But I think there's a lot of variation between them. There's a lot of them that are very like, they'll be service oriented, but they also want to book in that with a religious undertone and want to try to talk about the gospel too, which I don't like at all. So there's a spectrum, I think I would say. So that's kind of like where I come down on it. I'll go into more detail later, but one thing I did want to mention is, sorry, I've got notes on my phone. I'm just going to send them to my computer because it'll be easier than trying to keep this up. Hold on 2 seconds. Just let me fucking airdrop it. Jesus Christ. All right, the hell with this. One thing I did want to say is I have technically been a missionary because in 2010 I traveled to Kenya to work on behalf of the Episcopal Church, Diocese of West Virginia, who partnered with the Anglican Church of Kenya, which was the functional equivalent. Anglican as close as you get to Episcopal, pretty much anywhere overseas. But we coordinated with them, and I went over there and helped a family friend and a guy that used to be the priest of our church, essentially help build computer labs for rural schools in Kenya, help them get up and running, and teach school kids, and some adults and teachers how to use them and how to do basic word processing, write emails, get their emails set up, that type of thing, to help them learn on 21st century technology. And there was absolutely no discussion of God at all. And one, because that was not our goal, and it was very clearly stated that it was not our goal. It was an education project, and it stood as that. But two, because I mean, honestly, the people in Kenya that were there were more religious than I was, so there was that too. But I wanted to say that because even overseas, there are mission trips, quote unquote, that are not necessarily the purpose is not necessarily to convert somebody to a religion or to proselytize or to push something on someone. And I want to make that distinction because that's what I did. I was technically a missionary for the purposes of being able to travel safely. And so, yeah, wanted to bring that up. Don't really have a off ramp there.
No, I get it. Which I mean, I understand. I think there are a few things that I think are inherently wrong with all missionary trips. The number one for me is being expensive, like for the people to go. I think that's always been an inherent problem with mission trips. Like when it comes to overseas, it's far more expensive. But even the mission trips in Appalachia that like they're coming, those people still have to put up like $350 to get on the list. You know, they're still putting up money to come here, which to me, I'm like, wait a second, I get that things cost money, but if it's a mission trip, you would think that they would have some type of maybe some backing so people don't have to put up their own money. That's always been a big issue with me is like the mission trips are expensive. So to me, they're more like a study abroad trip than they are a mission trip. That's always been something that's been on my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I don't know if there's really a workaround to it, but I know that there are some.
Not.
I know there's some of them have like foundation backing, or I know of some that have been run through a church where the congregation will help finance trips for people. And again, that kind of like it really varies based on the church and what their mission is. But yeah, I mean, it certainly is cost prohibitive.
Another thing that I don't think people think about this. This is something that my weird brain thought of because I'm constantly trying to think of like why government isn't doing something. So in my opinion, mission trips to Appalachia and to rural Appalachia and those places, it allows state legislatures and the federal government to ignore the real problems in Appalachia because they have somebody else doing the work theoretically. But in actuality, that work is only minimal, but it looks like it's being done. And that's been a huge issue, at least for me when I think about it, because I'm like, if people are going to come in and do this work, that's great. But a lot of the time the work is very minimal. It's like we fixed a roof on one house, like, and that's great, but that's not helping Appalachia. That's helping an individual in Appalachia, which is, again, it's great. But it, to me, allows us to ignore the real issues.
Yeah. No, I think that's a valid point, and at least gives lawmakers maybe an internal permission structure to ignore problems. I guess my pushback to that is that even if it wasn't happening, would they actually do something? I mean, because there's a lot of other problems in Appalachia that go unaddressed every day where quote unquote missions aren't coming to help that they're not doing anything about.
Well, I don't know if I think that there are issues, but I'm just saying that I think it gives them another escape route.
Yeah,
which they don't need anymore.
No, they sure as shit don't. I guess they don't need them in general at this point. I mean, they just do whatever the fuck they want. Yeah,
still fair. That's fair.
I guess you could take that though and apply it to like pretty much anything that a lot of nonprofits do. Which is also a problem though, because I mean, there's a lot of nonprofits that are associated with feeding hungry people, and what is government for if it's not for helping people reach the basic necessities of life? You know, it's a shit system in general. I guess I don't know that removing that would necessarily create the sense of urgency that we would want.
I don't think it does either. I just think that it creates at least an excuse, or at least some, subconscious excuse.
Yeah, no, I feel you. One thing that, and we can read some of these examples too. I know that I didn't read through all of them, but basically for context for our listeners, we posted a question about this on social media, just like, what are your thoughts on mission trips Appalachia, period, and what I saw, like, there was a lot of mentioning of outsiders coming in, that type of thing, like people not from the region, which I have sympathy for that argument. But I also, I know a lot of what I say, people are probably going to be annoyed with. That's fine. We're allowed to diverge a little bit. So I've always been a little uncomfortable with the term outsider because I feel like it, and I hate the word gatekeeping too, but I do think it carries with it some sort of gatekeeping thing of like, you're not from here, like you don't understand. And that is true for a lot of it. But I think part of the problem with that is that you're also, I think, creating a wall up for people to be able to understand Appalachia. And again, I will always premise this by saying it varies, and I am not for most mission trips. I will say that 100%. But I do think that, and let me just also back up and say that the history of Appalachia makes being skeptical of outsiders very, very warranted. And I'm definitely not ignoring that either. But as someone who has moved out of the region and moved into places where I was an outsider, I kind of have seen both sides of the token. I've felt very it feels really nice to have people that welcome people who are outsiders, to feel like learn about a place and feel like they can belong somewhere, or feel like they're not shunned for coming to a place. But I've also felt it as someone who has directed that attention towards me of, you're an outsider, you don't understand this place. Why do you feel entitled to be here? In Nashville, that happened a lot, because in Nashville, there are a lot of people that move into that city, a lot of people that move in, and it's actually kind of hard to find native Nashvillians. So people who are native Nashvillians, very similar to Appalachia, have a lot of inherent skepticism to people coming in from the outside, because there's a lot of like people coming in, spending a lot of money, gentrifying the neighborhoods, coming in for really high paying jobs, gentrifying neighborhoods, and not really respecting the culture, I think. And so I understand that from both sides, from both ends of that spectrum. I wanted to state that because even though I take issue with the term outsiders, I don't think it's productive or helpful. I completely understand the feeling, and I've felt it on both ways. So I don't know how I'm not sure how you feel on that, and that was probably a really long-winded explanation, which I'll get into why I talked about it. But anyway, that's my thought.
I think that's fair. I do think that and I'm guilty of it. I use the word outsiders, but I think sometimes I think people use outsiders just because what else are you going to say? Like, I always try to put in like, people not from Appalachia, but like it kind of is, they kind of are outsiders, but I get what you're saying. Like it does have a negative connotation.
I was going to say, like, usually when I'm talking about it, it's in the context of like negativity. It's not like, oh, that's Billy Ray Cyrus. He's an outsider. He's not from here. So we're like, that's Billy Ray fucking Cyrus. He's an outsider coming in to take advantage of us. I don't know why I use Billy Ray Cyrus. I don't know where that.
I don't know
came
either. I get what you're saying though, and it does make sense. I guess my pushback on that, which I know that you agree with, is like just looking at the history of Appalachia. I mean,
absolutely.
Outsiders have taken advantage of this region the entire existence of it. So, I mean, I think it's kind of culturally entrenched in our way of thinking, but that doesn't mean that it's a healthy way of thinking. And it does need to change. I agree with you on that. That we do need to come up with a way to really talk about it without devaluing someone else's existence. Because that to me, the term outsider does kind of devalue someone else's existence in the region.
Yeah. Well, and I think the way I like to try to look at it is, especially because of the history and just in general with how Appalachia's been treated by outsiders, like viewing it in terms of skepticism is smart and is very much warranted. But I don't think that, I think people should be skeptical, but not close the door entirely on people who want to come and learn about Appalachia, number one, and who may want to come and help people in Appalachia who have been coordinating with local people, not just people like, oh, I want to come be a like white savior complex type thing. So yeah, I think that's sort of where I come down on it, because you're fighting history with the need to embrace current reality. And that's always difficult. I know we're like kind of got off topic with actual mission trips, but I do think it relates because most, if not all, of the mission trips are people outside of Appalachia coming in. And I think that in order for a mission trip to be what I would approve of, it would be someone leading it who has a local connection, who has coordinated with local people and knows like what they want out of this and knows what they need that they can't get right now. That's the thing. Like when you have people, like in a Mingo County or McDowell, for example, West Virginia, when their immediate needs aren't getting met, that may be the only resource for someone to get a new roof on their house. And it's not going to help all of Appalachia, but it might help that person. And I think that's the way I try to look at it. But I also understand there's a lot of bad shit associated with mission trips in general, with colonialism, that type of thing. And there's a lot of ignorance too. And I think that's part of the problem is like, there are some people who feel like, oh, I'm doing this because it will help my own self-esteem, make me feel good, like I did a good thing for somebody, and pat myself on the back and then take pictures of it and post it on Instagram for likes. And that shit's disgusting, and I fucking hate it.
stop calling them mission trips. That's another issue I have with it. Just stop saying that.
100%.
Because to me, a mission trip signifies that you're going to an impoverished area or an undeveloped area. You're coming in to save the day, and the fact is you're not when it comes to these Appalachian mission trips. They're going and putting a roof on someone's house. They're essentially volunteer contractors. That's what they've become. Volunteer contractors who come into the region and who help a single person out, which is great. Like
they're Blackwater.
They are.
They're not quite that bad, I don't think,
but yeah, I get what you're saying. But anyway, stop referring to them as mission trips. They're not mission trips. They actually, really, in all honesty, the mission is very individualized. It's not to actually help a part of the region. It's to help an individual in the region. Especially when I'm searching through, a lot of them are just that. The big thing too is, and you mentioned a little bit, which I think makes me think about it. To me, these quote unquote mission trips, they're not about the region at all. They're about the people on the mission trip. 100%. They are 100% about the people on the mission trip. It's either that they have the savior complex, that they feel like they need to go somewhere and help people, or it's the fact that, like what you mentioned, that people want to learn about the region, which is great. Come learn about the region. Don't do it as a mission trip.
Yeah.
Because the mission trip, it essentially makes Appalachia look weak. In my opinion, it makes us look like we are the stereotype. We can't take care of ourselves. We can't do all these things. And that to me, I think is a major issue when it comes to Appalachia. And you kind of hit on it too, which I really like this point, like them working with a local group or a local person. But to me, come and volunteer for that group. Like, come help them. Bring your resources. If there's a nonprofit, let's say maybe your mission trip is harm reduction, which I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've seen that many on that, but let's just say it is. And there's a mutual aid group, right? Go volunteer with them. Go help them. Bring your resources. That's the type of shit that changes things.
Give them money.
Right. Bring your resources. That's where you'll make change. And then you'll have me. You'll have me as a winner right there.
Yeah. Bring the resources. Don't take them. And I would also say, I would agree with you, though. I think a lot of these groups are solutions in search of a problem type organizations. And,
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think that's wrong. I do. I want to be crystal fucking clear here. I'm not trying to be a Joel Osteen of Appalachia or anything. I wish I had his money, though. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I think that part of learning about the community is interesting, and I think you make a really good point about it making Appalachia look weak, which is why I would suggest if you're going to do that, make it an exchange program. So if you're from let's say you're from Massachusetts, upper northeast, send some Appalachian people to go up and experience what life is like up there, so they can learn about it there while people come and experience Appalachia. It doesn't have to just be like. Don't use it as poverty porn. Don't use it as like, oh, well, let's learn about these foreign people that nobody knows about. It's like, yeah, you may not know about Appalachians, but Appalachians might not know shit about you. And that's probably the same for most of this country. Shocker, is that we don't know much about each other because we don't experience living where other people live. And as you know, John, it's a huge part of your human construct. I mean, even like growing up in Parkersburg versus Morgantown is completely different. So that's what I would say. I think my whole point is there is a way to allow people from outside of Appalachia to come in and have it be a productive experience, whether it's doing a service project that's coordinated locally by people who want it and who need it, or if it's to try to learn more about a place they don't know. I don't see harm inherently in those two goals, and I almost called them missions. I didn't, though, because I think you're right, because the connotation of mission trip is a spoiled connotation because it's steeped in history of colonialism and religious proselytizing, and that ain't cool. But a lot of people that listen to this show and you and I especially, like a lot of people, I think this is, let me just dial back a second, because I found this a lot in Nashville. A lot of people who were very much like anti-outsider, kind of gatekeeping, were always extremely pro-immigrant. Like, we should be welcoming of people coming into this country, which I'm obviously for. But to me, I almost seem like a little bit of a hypocrisy on my part. I know that those two dynamics are completely different, but if you're willing, you know, love thy neighbor goes for a local level as it does for national, I think, in some respects. And it's understandable to be more skeptical at a local level because, like, places like Nashville have been exploited. People like native Nashvillians have been exploited just like Appalachians have. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people who want to learn about Appalachian, who want to do good by it, and who want to help people. And I don't think that we should inherently be shunning that if it's for the right reasons and if it's something that people in Appalachia want, need, and welcome. And I'm just saying that because I can sit here and talk all day about something, but if somebody in, you know, if people in Rand, West Virginia, who got their houses damaged by a storm, who don't have the resource to fix themselves, who there's not a local Habitat for Humanity chapter that can help them rebuild their houses, and there's people from, I don't know, Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn or somewhere that want to come down and help and want to coordinate and be able to provide resources, then to me, I don't see the problem in that. And I think that being open to that is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that there's a difference, though, between saying outsiders when it comes to mission trips and saying outsiders when somebody's coming to, like, visit. Like, I think that there's more of a negative connotation with people, like, coming on a mission trip and that being more of a pushback than there is people.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, there are places in the region that does happen. But, I mean, it's not even volunteerism anymore. It's voluntourism. Like, that's what it's become. It's
That's
essentially
a real term now.
It is a real term, and that's what it's become. Now, I think I've focused a lot on the negative parts of it. Obviously, there are some positive parts to it. One, somebody gets resources. Somebody gets something that they didn't have before. So that is a positive thing. We do know that. The other thing is, if depending on the area, they may want religion to come into their community. I mean, who are we to say they don't? Like, I don't know. I know that there are some places that really do. But the funny thing that always kind of cracks me up about these, this is off topic, but it's still funny, is that the United States of America is, at least at one time, it may not be anymore, but at one time, it only was 79% Christian. And it was less than the places they were going to take Christianity to. Mm-hmm. Like, when they'd go from Mexico and be like, we're taking Christianity down there, but Mexico's 91% Christian. Like, yeah. It's just that kind of stuff that, like, kind of blows my mind. And Appalachians, you know, there are a lot of parts that are very, you know, it's the Bible Belt. Like, it is, to a point, religious.
Yeah. Yeah, and you look, yeah, I think that you and I are in agreement, because, like, the biggest thing for me, the anchor to all of this, is I'm not going to tell people who want something that they shouldn't have it because of a generalization I have about something. Yeah. I'm not going to tell people in Eastern Kentucky that, no, there shouldn't be people coming down to help you rebuild your house or help you understand God more, because I don't agree with it, or I think it's bad. But I think the whole point is that it has to be something that people in Appalachia want and have expressed desire and interest in. Yeah. And so I don't know. I think that's where I fall on this issue. That's where I kind of, that's why, like, I'm not totally closed off to the idea, but it is something that I think has been steeped in a history that has been unhelpful. And so that's really, I think that's the biggest problem, is that I would say, and this is anecdotal, I don't have any evidence to back this up, but I would say the majority of mission trips have been motivated a lot by self-interest, more so than interest in help. Maybe both. I don't know, but at least it has appeared that way. And so I think whenever it comes to considering something like this, it has to be considered in what do people actually want in Appalachia. And that's oftentimes not been part of the conversation. The part of the conversation, a lot of the times, at least nationally, has always been, what do other people think is good for Appalachia? And instead, it should be, what do Appalachians want? And if they don't want people coming in and doing that shit, then they need to fuck off. Like, those people need to not come in and do that shit.
Yeah.
My bold philosophical take right there.
But before we move on, I want to share some of the responses we got, because I do think some of them are interesting.
Get it.
So one of them that we got, which I found to be probably the most interesting, or at least one of the most interesting, was, let me see, from, actually, I won't say people's names because I don't want people to feel like I'm, but anyway, here's one. I've met a bunch of people who fell in love with West Virginia because their place of worship took them there on a mission trip. So anecdotally, I'm about them. And then they also replied to their own comment and said, by the way, it's good to see so many folks on this thread looking a gift horse in the mouth. Hashtag so brave.
Was that, I'm assuming that was sarcasm?
No, I think that, they're saying, they're being sarcastic. They're saying that they're looking a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
And
okay. Yeah. That's like shunning something that was
a good thing. Which again is great. I love the fact that people came here to West Virginia and fell in love with the area and fell in love with the people, right? But they didn't need a mission trip to do that. They could have taken a trip here. A group could take a trip here. That's great, and I love that. But the fact is, like,
get on the Potomac Eagle.
Yeah,
get on the Potomac Eagle and get that train in here, baby.
But again, this is exactly the comment I was looking for too. The second one, looking a gift horse in the mouth, because to me that says not only do you need this, but you should shut up and take it. And that's what my mom said when she tried to give me Dimetap when I was a kid. Right, like this is the Pepto-Bismol of answers. Like, shut up and take it. Oh, Jesus. And you take it when you have to have it. I like the first comment that people came here and fell in love with the area. That's great. But to say that it's a gift horse isn't true. These mission trips are not gift horses. They're helping individuals get something that they didn't have before, which is great for that individual. It's not great for the region. Stop pretending like it is. Now, when they come and work on the water system in Kentucky, or donate money to help people actually have clean water, that's looking a gift horse in the mouth. But they don't do that. They collect money and then come put a roof on someone's house, which is, again, there was some metaphor. Yeah, there was some metaphor there about taking a gift horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. But I don't know what it was, and I'm not going to try. Another one that we got. And do you want to comment on that one? I have one that I was going to point out. Yeah, but if you get another one, go for it. No, do it. Go. Well, this is from a friend of mine who I know has done one. She said, I went to Southwest Virginia, because I had to enunciate that because I got that very confused when I was a kid. For a few mission trips in high school, mostly did small construction projects, building ramps, sealing roofs, drywalling. One adult in particular who organized them put on a big emphasis on educating ourselves about the region beforehand, and I appreciate that she wanted us to know that we were gaining some perspective and weren't there to be saviors. No proselytizing from a religious standpoint, but every group who visited spent an evening listening to a presentation about how coal companies were doing good things for the environment. I saw that. So that part of that specific program was weird, which I thought that was interesting, and also really telling. I mean, I'm wondering. It makes me wonder if coal companies were funding that, which is very troublesome, right? And just kind of shows you some of the problems there. So that comment was a very mixed bag. Yeah, I mean that's fair, but again, you're right. Like that makes your like antennas go up. Like, why is this happening? I I wanted to read one from another person who went on one, right? I took 2 youth groups on mission trips to Appalachia with Appalachia Service Project over 10 years ago, and I think the organization is well run and provided in actual high quality service. In parentheses, home repair, end parentheses, to the homeowners. Although religious based, we chose ASP specifically because they didn't push religion to the people whose homes we were working on. I would really love to know how ASP is viewed by locals. I think, again, ASP
was Appalachian Service Project, right?
Right. And it is a more well-known mission form of quote-unquote mission trips. Again, though, this group could, if you really want to help, and I'm not trying to like continue on this, but like home repair is one thing, and I get that, but again, it seems kind of redundant that all of these groups are doing the same thing. And crazy enough, we've had mission trips to Appalachia for at least the last 15 to 20 years. And crazy enough, infrastructure is not any better. People are not coming they're not moving to the region. We don't have skyscrapers in all the cities. Like it hasn't done anything. Yeah, I mean that again, and I get that. And there are certain types, like I do think that obviously it is nice that people are coming in and building ramps for like handicapped people and stuff like that. That's great. Again, I don't know why we have to call them mission trips because again, it does make Appalachia look weak. And I think I've already harped on that enough. And the last one, I thought that this was interesting because I didn't think about this. This person said, I went to a school where the Appalachian mission trips were a cool thing to do, and being from Appalachia myself, it was awkward. But I definitely feel a lot of those kids needed their eyes opened, which those trips provided. And I agree with that. I do think people need to open their eyes. However, again, I think the mission trips benefit the people on them rather than the people that they come to help. So that's a great thing, but your mission isn't to help people. Your mission is to learn about the region, and that's fine. Yeah, I mean, are these problems not existing in the states where these people are from? That's the other thing that kind of makes me irritate about this. Like, getting wheelchairs fixed getting wheelchair ramps put in, getting roofs fixed, that's not an Appalachian issue. It's an issue around. They could literally walk down the road and help somebody, but that wouldn't be interesting, right? And that's, I think, what makes me so angry about it is like, these are not Appalachian mission trips. Like, it's just a trip to Appalachia where you're doing a roof. Like, you could do that in your own state. These are not Appalachian issues.
Yeah, I guess I would say that the rub for that with them is that they're I guess the positive spin to that would be is that it gives them an opportunity to learn about a place they aren't familiar with. And again, inherently, that's not a bad thing, but it's often, again, as you mentioned, done in a self-serving way that's more focused on, oh, what am I going to get out of this, and not what am I going to be doing to help someone else, and is it something they truly want?
Which hashtags can I use for my picture?
Yeah, right.
For my picture in front of the house I'm working on, and I'm holding a hammer.
Yeah. Do I need to bump up the saturation on this to show the color that I painted better?
Yeah.
I've got an idea for you. Ramps for ramps. All right, here you go. This is where you combine culture and service. Build ramps, and in exchange, you're going to learn about a cultural staple of Appalachia, ramps, the wild onions, and there you go. Everybody is helped, and you take a little bit back with you that you learned.
And then the religious ones can be morals for morels.
Yeah, I would take issues with religion preaching morals, but I'm there for it.
That's
think
true.
That the alliteration
everybody's
is
got morals. No, that's not going to work. But anyway, the sister to that program can be morals for morels.
All right. Well, I think that ends our discussion, at least for now, on Appalachian quote unquote mission trips. Let us know what you think, and how much you hate me for this conversation, if you hate me at all, or maybe you agree with me. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what people think. I just express my opinion like I do every week, and apparently some people think that's not completely intolerable, so that's cool. Anyway, let's move on. Last part of the show, it's not stew season, but I always like a nice stew. I don't know about you. You bust out the crock pot. You always get the crock pot out on a Sunday night, like when we record. Put in your vegetables, some of your carrots, some of your potatoes. But I always like to put a big old helping of chicken. No, I'm kidding. A big old helping of beef, and who else to consult on that to make a big beef stew than the legendary Beefmaster General himself, the 5-star general of bovine beef with Big John's.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to present to you the beef-feeding mouth of the South, coming to you live from a foreclosed Ponderosa back-to-back buffet world champion beef with Big John.
Makes sense.
That's all right. Yeah. First off, I got to start out with who I don't have beef with. Chuck, I don't have beef with you because that was a great intro. So great work there. Second, I don't have.
That's the whole purpose of my thing, was to avoid that. So
right.
Thanks.
You got to be careful. The second one, I don't have beef. We got a postcard in the mail, and I wanted to bring it up.
Holy shit.
I wanted to bring it up. I forgot. I'm so sorry. It's downstairs during this recording. I'll post a picture to Instagram and stuff like that. But Chuck, it's a postcard, which it had a really nice message on it, saying how they found West Virginia and stuff like that, and how they loved it and how they loved Appalachia. But on the back, there's these two lobsters, right? And one of them is standing up, and the other one's like kind of stuck and can't get out. But the one that's standing up has an "I'm with stupid" shirt on, pointing to the other one, and in my head, I was like, are they trying to tell us something? Like, are they trying to tell us that, like, one of us is with stupid?
Boy, that's a great question. I think I've actually seen that on a Big Dog shirt before. So,
you definitely have seen that on a Big Dog shirt.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's more
or maybe
introspective than that.
Maybe both of us are the person that's caught, and they're the person that's wearing the shirt.
That's, I'm going to leave that up to the gods to debate. Look, the beauty about art is it's all within the eye of the beholder, and I don't want to try to interpret what the artist, in this case the male-er, was trying to say. So.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to send us something, P.O. Box 2466, Parkersburg, West Virginia, 26102. We do really like getting them, and when you send stuff, I don't have beef with you. even when it's like a cool letter, like we just want to hear about it, about your day.
Get out a beef free
Yeah,
card.
get out a beef free card. Anyway, what do I have beef with this week, Chuck? I got beef with TikTok. Chuck, we recently joined TikTok. I don't know if people know this, but we recently joined TikTok. We're going to do some stuff on there, some content. We're still trying to figure out. If you got any ideas, let us know. And part of it is we both made
I fucking hate TikTok.
we both of us made an individual one as well. He's at Chuck Cora, I'm at Big John Eisner, and of course it's at Appalachia. Anyway,
I don't ever intend to post anything on it. I only do it to follow people.
It's okay. One time he will, probably something. Anyway, maybe we should do a follower goal, and then you'll do something.
Oh, like if we get like 100 followers or something, I'll post.
You'll do a trending thing.
I'll do a stitch of me responding to some bullshit.
Okay,
I can't even. This is how much I fucking know. I can't even. Yes, if we get all right. So here it is, folks. All right, you ready for this? We're gonna get to that beef, but if we get, I'm gonna make this bold. If we get 500 followers. No, hell, fuck that. When we get to 1,000 followers on TikTok, I will make a TikTok video. We are at approximately 44 right now, so get to work.
All right. Anyway, so when we get to, what'd you say, 1,000? When we get to 1,000,
yeah.
Chuck is going to do some, I think what would be best is if you did a duet with something that's trending. Just really bring it home for everybody. But anyway, we'll get to that point. All right. Anyway, why do I have beef with TikTok? Here's why. Because there are a lot of videos out there that seem to be pushing Appalachian stereotypes. There's a lot of jokes on there, about a lot of skits. There's one that I posted a response to. I took it down because the person did put up a response video saying that the reason they were doing it was they wanted to show that they were a person of color, and this is kind of like how they felt, which is great, but I wish that would have been in the video that they posted, right? Because the video that they posted was this quote-unquote mission trip to Kentucky that they didn't have clean water, which some places that's true, but also they said like they've never seen a toothbrush or mouthwash, and like stuff like that. It's not funny to me, and it's also to me not a great way to make a point, because if you're trying to draw people in, that's not how to do it. Our region has been through enough. I think that we can have this discussion on different terms, but that being said, there's also other things like just jokes in general about like people being each other's, like if you're Appalachian and you're married, like you married your cousin, blah, 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 stuff like that. It's idiotic, quote unquote humor. It's low hanging comedy is what I like to call it, because it's a low hanging fruit. It's an easy joke to make over and over again. It has actually no quality to it. It's not really funny. It's not something that, people would actually care about. It's just for a quick like and a quick reshare or whatever the hell goes on there. And it's just, TikTok has become such a big platform that when that constantly gets pushed, that's going to bring up stereotypes for a younger generation, because our whole point is we can't fix the old heads, Chuck, like the people who are entrenched in the way they think. We can't fix them. But you know what we can do? We can ensure that young Appalachians and young people don't have to go through these stereotypes and don't have to learn about them or don't have to know these stereotypes. But when TikTok allows this kind of stuff, or just like when people edge it on, I should say, not allow, but edges it on, that's a problem to me. That's something that's dangerous for this region. That's going to set us back, especially with younger people. And I think that it's something that has to be challenged. And I think there are people on there challenging it. I just want to hear more of a challenge. And I'm not laughing at the TikTok thing. I'm laughing at Chuck because he's messing with his mic and it keeps falling. Anyway, so if you have a TikTok and you see an Appalachian video, challenge that thing. Do a stitch, right? I learned what that is, a stitch, where you can like show their video and then you can respond to it. Do something like that. Tell people why it's wrong. Show people why it's wrong. Show them that you're not the stereotype, or why the stereotype actually doesn't exist, or, just push back. We need that. And I think we do a really good job on Twitter. I think Twitter's great in terms of that. Twitter's got it. You're on mute if you're trying to actually talk. Okay. Twitter's got it. Facebook, we're never going to win there probably. But TikTok is something that does need pushback. So go ahead, pushback. I'm going to push back on my TikTok. Those are probably going to be my primary ones that I do. I don't like doing anything else. So make sure you follow at Appalachia, at Big John Eisner, at Chuck Cora, because at 1,000 followers, Chuck is going to do something great for TikTok.
1,000 on the pod.
No, I
I
know.
Don't follow our personal ones. Follow our podcast account.
Follow all of them, because you may fall in love with it, Chuck, and then you're cranking them out.
I will. No. So if you get Appalachia up to 1,000 followers, I will make a TikTok video. This is really going to test people's general level of interest in my content, which if it takes us a long time to get to 1,000, it'll be very telling. Yeah. Well, John, as they always say, space is the next the last great frontier. I would do a hard disagree and say for us
it's TikTok
because where stereotypes exist, it's a shameful place. And it's a dirty place, a filthy one. And you need people that are the disinfectant of poor narratives to come in and Mr. Clean the shit out of that place. And I'm not saying that's what we're going to do, but we might throw up a couple videos at some point. So there you go.
Well, our Appalachia has videos.
I know it does. What I was going to say at a serious note is that you do make good points, and that is a really, as much as it begrudges me and I hate social media, is an extremely influential platform, one that people's eyeballs are on constantly, and one that is influencing the way that people think and view different places. And so here we go again, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So it's dangerous. That's all I'm saying.
Dangerous. We're banditos in the Wild West, come to rein it all in. But anyway, with that being said, we will end the episode on that note. Do all the social medians, including TikTok and all the other ones, or TalkTik or DickSock, all those good ones. Friendster, MySpace.
My mom
Zanga,
calls it Tic Tac. I saw on NBC
wrong.
they were talking about that Tic Tac app.
Like, which one? Peppermint? The orange ones are the best, but yeah, so do all that. Check out the store, check out the website, check out Starry Eyes Media, and check us out next week.